Hi, welcome back to another video. And today I'll be talking about some new polling we got for the New York City Mayor Democratic primary. Now it has been quite a while since we've gotten any new polling, based on Wikipedia or really just anything for this Democratic primary. Last polling we got is May 2025, and finally for this month, first time of June 2025, we got some new polling for the New York City Mayor Democratic primary between some of these candidates, and most importantly, head-to-head polling between Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani, and it is really going to help us paint a picture here on, in June of 2025, just about less now than 2 weeks away from this primary, who is the favorite and who is most likely to win here. And if you were really to ask me here, I still think, based on this new polling, that Cuomo is the favorite, but his chances of winning are quickly declining. And if he really wants to win this race here, he has to do something because his poll numbers are now collapsing. But I will be going into this polling as well as some favorability ratings between, Andrew Cuomo, Zohran Mamdani, Eric Adams, and some of the other, Democratic candidates. Although I might skip over them, of one of the, some of the names that you might not notice. But anyways, let's get into this new polling here, where, as you can see from the title here, new polls show a Cuomo Mamdani face-off is tightening in New York mayoral race. Yeah, well, where we are seeing now here, where the head-to-head, polling here between this race is getting closer and closer between the former New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, and the Democratic Socialist, Zohran Mamdani. So this article here says that the Democratic primary for New York City mayors is effectively a two-person race between Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani, two new internal polls show. A survey conducted by Data for Progress on behalf of a super PAC for Mamdani found Cuomo up by just 2 points. 2 points. While a poll from the ex-governor camp showed Cuomo with a 12-point lead. So yeah, I'd say that it is really, really, really difficult to really tell which is accurate here, because on one hand you have Data for Progress, right? Super PAC from Mamdani has Cuomo up by 2 points, but again we also have a poll from Cuomo's internals, which is going to help Cuomo with a 12-point lead. So both of these polls are coming from pollsters that both back Mamdani and also Cuomo. So but this is it's a progressive PAC that released this, and I don't want to say any of these polling is inaccurate or anything. I'm just saying that it's a little hard to trusting. But I believe the polling here. I believe what we're seeing, and obviously I'm going to be reporting on the state information. Now, the survey conducted also has the favorability for some candidates, other politicians. Like, I'm not going to go through Bernie Sanders or AOC here. Yeah, AOC. However, AOC has a little bit of relevance, I'd say, in this election because she has endorsed Zohran Mamdani for her first choice for the Democratic primary. However, it is important to notice or to mention that these polls have come out before AOC made that endorsement for Zohran Mamdani. So we have yet to see the post-endorsement polling. And so we have yet to see that. We have yet to see that. And of course, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to the polls when we do see the post-endorsement polling. But for now, we haven't gotten it yet. This is between late May to early June of 2025. And the endorsement came a little bit after that. So we have yet to see any polling, that came after the AOC endorsement. But as you can see here, this is AOC's favorability and unfavorability of New York City, where 78 of total favorability are favorable towards AOC, and 16 are unfavorable, giving AOC a 62 plus net of favorable. Now, there are some other ones, most importantly, Zohran Mamdani, who, total favorability 58, unfavorable 15, giving him a plus 43 favorable. So that is very good for Mamdani and his campaign. We have Brandlander, who absolutely isn't going to win, but he has a plus 43 favorability. We have Andrina Adams, who also likely isn't going to win, but she has a 43 plus favorable favorability, which is very good for them. We have Stringer, also probably not going to win here, but he also has a plus 35 favorability, also good for him. We have Jessica Ramos, again, probably not going to win, but she has a plus 30 favorability, which is good for her. And we have Zilla Murray, we have plus 27 favorability, which is good for him. Very high. Michael Blake, plus 8. And now, this is a really interesting one, other than Eric Adams. Andrew Cuomo, right? I'm going to go through all of these here, because this is very interesting. Much more interesting than the AOC numbers or the Zohran Mamdani numbers, where we have Andrew Cuomo here, where, right, we go from female, male, under 45, 45 plus, no college, college, Asian, Black or African American, white, Latino, Bronx County, Kings County. I'm mostly just going to be focusing on gender and race here. So, I'm not going to do the very favorable or, somewhat unfavorable here. I'm just going to go between favorability total and the unfavorability total, and then the net, right? So, for all together here, we have favorable being at 48, unfavorable being at 49, which leads Cuomo at a -1 net favorable. Well, actually, unfavorable, but it should be, he is unfavorable by just 1. So it's actually very close, right? You have people who remember the Cuomo administration back when he was governor, and they view him unfavorable. But you do have others who, did like Cuomo and probably still do, and are still willing to vote for him, right? And so by female, you have Cuomo actually doing sort of well, +6 with females, where you have, right, 52 view him favorable and 46 view him unfavorable. Now, with men, it's a completely different story, where they are not viewing Cuomo favorable at all, right? Only 44% of men view Cuomo favorable, and 53 unfavorable. And now under 45, we have 22 favorable and 73 unfavorable. So really, you have a lot of the younger generations here really just souring over Cuomo. And now we have 45 and older, which this is very predictable and expected here. Cuomo does very well with the older generations with a plus 26, favorable, where we have 62% favorable and 36% unfavorable. So Cuomo does very well with, the older generations. And as we also get into no college here, these are the people who actually, voted for Trump in the 2024 elections, who kind of rejected Kamala Harris, and they usually vote Republican. But we are talking about Democrat no college voters, voters who vote in this Democratic primary who have not gone to college. So we have Cuomo also doing just as good as, being with the older generation, where he has a plus 25, 60 favorable and 35 unfavorable. Now, when we get to college, Cuomo actually does pretty bad. This is probably his worst yet. This is much worse than the male vote. When you get to college Democratic primary voters, they do not like Cuomo at all, leaving Cuomo at a 35 favorable and 64 unfavorable, leaving Cuomo at almost a -30 favorable, putting him at -29. And also, Asian is pretty interesting here, too, where you have, Cuomo having at 48 favorable and also 48 unfavorable. So it's complete tie. He's not favorable or unfavorable. It's complete tie here, being at 0. Now, Black or African American, Cuomo does incredibly well here. This is his best performance yet. There's been a lot of polls that have shown Mamdani doing great with white people, and Cuomo doing very good with Black, or African Americans. So you have Cuomo at 67 favorable and 29 unfavorable, giving him a plus 38 favorable on Black or African Americans. Now with whites, I talked about how Mamdani has done very well, with whites, leaving Cuomo with a -29 favorable, Cuomo performing very poorly. Latinos, but Cuomo has a plus 12. And of course we get to the counties, but that is all I wanted to show you guys. I did that for a little bit, but you really get to see some of the data information on how New Yorkers are viewing Andrew Cuomo here. And I am gonna go back to Zohran Mamdani. I just want to get a real. So as you can see here, right, we have females plus 41 with Zohran, and male plus 45. Under 45 we have plus 73. 45 and older, we have plus 28. No college, plus 31. College, plus 56. Asian, plus 67. Now, you're looking at all this and you're saying, wow, that's really good for Mamdani. But we get here to Black or African American, plus 31, right? White plus 48, Latino plus 46. All of this is plus for Mamdani. So this is very, very good data for Mamdani. And I honestly, going into this, I really did not think we would be seeing his polling numbers being this positive, being this supportive. I honestly thought we would have seen maybe some negatives like we are seeing with Andrew Cuomo, but we are not seeing that with Mamdani, which is very, very good for his campaign. Now, we are going to get to these Democratic primary new polls here. This is the Wikipedia page. But anyways, yeah, we have all the candidates here, and now I do want to get down to the polling here, because it is getting very, very interesting. It has developed here, as you can say. Now, there has been a little decrease in Mamdani's polling numbers, but not by much. -3 points. As we can see here, since the last time I looked at these polling numbers, we were at 22, 23, and Cuomo was at 35, which was kind of the last time. Now, in these updated polls, both Zohran and Cuomo surged a little bit, right? Zohran went up by 10 points, and Cuomo up just by 5. Now, Zohran has dropped back down to 30, and Cuomo has gone up only to 42. So really, there really hasn't been much change. But really, this is now crazy close, right? Zohran is now, according to this polling, Zohran is now 12 points behind Cuomo, compared to right back in February, just a couple months ago, where he was 32 points, away from Cuomo. So this really is incredible. Somebody who was kind of down in the mud with the other candidates, and Cuomo who kind of dominated the field. But now, that's no longer the case. We've gone from 32 to 12. It is truly incredible, and it shows that the Cuomo campaign might be in huge trouble here. And, I've already talked about some of the polling, where if you get rid of these candidates here, we see Zohran just 2 points away from Andrew Cuomo here. It is not something Andrew Cuomo wants to see. And I think that when we get into that final round of voting on primary election day or night, that the final round between Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani are going to be very, very, very close. I think Cuomo is the favorite, and I think Cuomo could probably win by 2 points, by 2 to 3 points. And the same thing could happen with Mamdani, where Mamdani could win by 2 to 3 points. But as of right now, I think Andrew Cuomo is the favorite, and he's probably going to win this primary by a very, very close margin. But his chances of winning here are continuing to shrink. And if this continues, we could see Andrew Cuomo lose his primary by a very, very, very small margin here. I don't think either candidate, either Andrew Cuomo or Zohran Mamdani, are going to be walking away with this primary. At a time, I could tell you, months ago, I could have told you that Andrew Cuomo was going to walk away with this primary, but not anymore. Andrew Cuomo is seriously, actually, possibly going to lose. I still think he's the favorite, and I think if the primary election was held today, I think that Andrew Cuomo would probably win by just a couple points. And I think if it was held back in February, Cuomo would have won in a landslide, but not anymore. Not anymore. And we have yet to get any new polling, right, from the post-AOC endorsement, which I predict will probably help Mamdani's polling numbers a lot. But until we get those polling numbers, Cuomo still leads Zohran, by 12 points when you put in the other candidates. But if you get rid of them, Cuomo only leads by 2 points, which is not something they want to see. And it is something the Mamdani campaign really, really loves to see. But until we get some new polling after the AOC endorsement, we have yet to see, Mamdani's polling numbers really surge. And I predict that when we do get the polling, his polling numbers will probably surge. But until then, we will see. And anyways, that is the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please like and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.